I'm not starting up. So picking up in the middle, in case I forget to do this in sixth period, we have said horizontal and vertical lines are special. A horizontal line has zero slope. That's the answer you give me. If you were to solve this, you're going to get 0 over some number. That's how you're going to know it has zero slope. And I'm going to show you that in the table. Now, what is the equation? The equation of a horizontal line always going to start with y equals. After that, this part you will always have. After that, you're going to have some number. And that number is going to be the y coordinate. All right? So if it's horizontal, no matter what, 100% of the time, it is zero slope. And it is a y equals equation. There will not be an x anywhere to be found on a horizontal line. Not in the equation. It just will not be there. For vertical, you can almost think of it as completely backwards from everything we just said. So vertical is not zero slope, it's y. Right? That guy is falling down. Now, in case you can't remember which one's which, I will even draw the little picture of a vertical horizontal line. That hasn't been what I've seen be the issue, but I'll put that up there. And what's that going to look like as a fraction? Nice. X over 0, right? Any number over 0. And what's the equation of that line going to be? X equals, and it's going to be some number. All right, it's not going to be a letter, and that's going to be my x coordinate. Just a half second. Will someone get that one front light, if you don't mind, the one on the left, with that, so I know that makes it a little easier. Perfect. Other one, switch. I know it doesn't make sense. I said left one, you too. All right. So now let's talk about what this was meant to do. I'm trying to help you here. I can't always do this for you. This was a really hard concept, and so I can do a little bit more. But this is the thought process that you should be having. And it doesn't mean you have to go from left to right. Because some of them it doesn't make sense to go left to right on these. But these are the questions you should be asking yourself to answer the problems. This right here you should have been able to find easily. I wanted you to see that you've had this in homework I gave you over 2 weeks ago. We've been referencing the homework every night. This is the 5th class I've now referenced that review of lines homework. You should be knowing whether you can do them or not, right? So we're going to start with this first one. Is it a horizontal or a vertical line? How do you know? I mean, it says it in the problem. I don't have to think any further. It's definitely horizontal. And notice I'm going to use the same color so that you're understanding. If it's horizontal, I don't have to think anymore. What is the slope? 0. It's got one or two choices if it's horizontal or vertical. It's either 0 or it's undefined. All right? Now, what is the equation of this line? I know the first part of it's got to be what because it's horizontal. Now, where do I find this number then? It's the y coordinate, which is this number I just circled right there. So y equals 4. All right? Now, the one that confused people most of what I put on here, and I'm going to explain why I did this. In gold, this is important to you, not that you have to take the notes, but that you understand, because several of you made the same mistake. If I asked for your answer, what I found is you guys just would give me one of these. You didn't care which one. All right? I asked for the equation of the line, which means I was asking for this one. If you tell me 0 slope, I'll say congratulations. That's not what I asked for in this problem. So your answer there to the problem, this is your actual answer to the problem, was y equals 4. All right? And I said go ahead and graph the problem. And you can do a very simple graph. This does not have to look all gorgeous like. All right? I'm going to do just a really quick XY axis. And if you get lost, plot the point. It says the line goes through -2 pho. Well, -2 pho is about right here. All right? And you told me it's what type of line? There, graphed. Done. All right? That's my thought process. And then I'm even going to kind of look and be like, All right, it's horizontal. I've got a y equals, horizontal line looking. Yep. Make sure I answer the question they asked for. They asked for the equation. That means y equals. So again, for vertical then, I know it's vertical, as you guys pointed out, because it says vertical. And the minute I know it's vertical, what do I know about the slope? Undefined. That skier is falling. Y'all seem to think to his death. That's I'm not going to be that gruesome. All right. Makes me sad. And I know it's going to be an x equals. I know it's going to be. I have no doubt. All right. And what is that number going to be then? And where is that? Oh, thank you. Perfect. You described that so well. X coordinate is the 5, right? Perfect. X equals 5. That's it. None of this 0x plus b. That doesn't work with horizontal and vertical. It's the only time it doesn't work. It just doesn't. So here we go. Now, I was looking for the equation. Which one of these two was my equation? Undefined or x equals 5? So that's my actual answer to this problem. And again, I'm going to do this cute little graph. And I can plot that point. 5, negative 2 is down here somewhere. And boom. There it is. And both of these were asked. Now, remember, this has got it in a nice order. You want to quiz yourself out of context, right? You want to go back to the homework, just pick one and say, can I do it with no notes? Go back to your review of the lines and see if you can still do it. Second page, still using, every time we're using this. So, oh my goodness, gradient intercept form. What is that? Oh, that's gradient symmetric for slope. And what's slope intercept form again? So, I'm confused though because they didn't even give me my slope. Oh, I need to find it how? With the slope formula, right? So do I even know yet if it is a vertical or horizontal line? Technically, if I hadn't set this up, huh? You don't think? Well, let's find out. Because if it's not either, then the rest of the graphic organizer for this line would be done. All right, now we'll talk about that. That's really good. I'm going to come back to that. Some of you saw that. What a great check. And some of you are going to see that in just a second. Very nicely done. Good pattern building and very strong math. So let's just take it basic on the steps in case you didn't see that. And just to show you another way to do it. I'm going to go to the left because I don't want to mess up my pretty notes over here. Right? Because this is different. I got to find the slope first. Right? So that's going to be, this is x1, y1, x2, y2. So it's going to be, I want you to do something for me because this question came up as a great question. I want you to write the coordinates exactly as you see them with a space. So it was -2 and -2, and then put your minus sign right between them. Because some of you are like, oh, I shouldn't repeat the minus sign, should I? Yeah, no, you got to. Because if you don't, it's wrong. So those were my y's. And then on my x's, it was 4 and -1, put the minus. Two negatives together become plus plus. And now, what is -2 plus 2? And 4 plus 1 is 5. Now look at this. This is why we did this column. If 0 is a denominator, I've got what type of slope? I'm sorry, I said different than the problem, so good catch. If 0 is the numerator, which was the case in what we just found, what kind of slope do I have? So this one, I'm going to start with the type of slope, all right? Because that's what I just found. I have 0 slope. If I have 0 slope, is it a horizontal or vertical line? Horizontal. See how I should be able to go to any direction on this once I have that piece of information? Now, if it's a horizontal line, the equation is what? Y equals, oh my God, but which point do I choose? But, oh my gosh, if it's horizontal, the y's are going to repeat. And that, which is what several of you had noticed on your own. So what does y equal? -2. This one asks for the equation, so your actual answer here is y equals -2. Look at what happens when you graph this. And again, I keep showing this graph one because if you're lost, go at least graph the points. It takes you 5 seconds. And look at what would have happened if you just graphed this one. I would have plugged 1 in at 4, -2. Thank you so much. I would have plotted 1 at 4, -2, which would have been about right here. And 1 at -1, -2. If those are aligned, there is only one way to connect them, and that is horizontally. I could have forgotten every rule and graphed those 2 points and figured out whether it was horizontal or vertical. I might have forgot the equation still, but that's a little tricky, right? But I would at least know whether it was horizontal or vertical. So same thing with this next one. We just did this one, so I'll go quickly. That would be 3 and -2, and 1 and 1, minus minus. That's 5 over 0. 5 over 0 is undefined. Oh, sorry. Just a cat on this one. So remember, if my numerator is over 0, I can't give you 5 parts of something I don't want. All right? And if it's undefined, it's what kind of line? Excellent. If it's vertical, it's what type of equation? Where do I find that number? I was actually asking for that, so the answer is x equals 1. If I'd asked you for slope, the answer would have been undefined. And then when I go to do my quick little cute graph here, that is such a good friend of all of ours, then it's going to go, I could even plot those 2 points. 1, -2 would be down here. 1, 3 would be up here. Vertical line. All right. The next one is, what is the slope of the line? Now, let's think about this. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. So I'm going to write down, they gave me the equation. So for my graphic organizer, I'm going to write that down. All right. And it was an x equals. And I'm just going by my colors here. And so x equals, well, I did in pink for a reason. I forgot right there, but x equals -3. All right? That was the equation they gave me. Well, I can work backwards. If that's my equation, what is my slope? Absolutely. Because what type of line does it have to be if it's x equals? And this one actually asked me for the slope. So what was my actual answer to this problem? Slope. This was my slope. So my answer is undefined. And I can go ahead and graph it and show that the guy's falling, right? That's how I remember undefined. So x equals -3 would look like this right here. Undefined splat. All right. The last two. I promised you that exact question was going to be on the quiz. Promised it to you. Highlighted it, starred it. You could have just gone ahead and memorized it. And yet, you'll never believe what the most missed question was of every question on the quiz. What was it? It was! Chris, well, you did extremely well. But, and several people didn't, but if I were to statistically tell you, I think maybe 3 or 4 people from each class got it right. All right? So, that tells me when I'm telling you notes, make sure you're looking. If I ever say it's going to be on a quiz, I try to stay by my word. And call me on it if I don't. Mr. Foster, you said that was going to be on the quiz, and it was not there, and I went and learned it. I'm not going to quit. All right? And I will apologize and try not to fail you again. But on this one, you failed me. I'm not going to lie, you did. But we're going to use this for those of us who missed it. Not you, because you're brilliant already, right? But for those of us who missed it, we're going to walk it through, because this one can be so confusing. Because even my people in tutoring, a couple of them are like, look, that's a lot of X's and Y's coming at me at the same time. Memorizing something like this will never work for 9 tenths of you. It will for a quiz. But when you get to a test or review for end-of-course test, it's not. You've got to be able to problem solve it out. And your thought process may be different than mine. I'm just giving you an example. My first thing on this is I need a picture. I gotta have one. I'm so confused. I'm gonna draw me a pretty picture. And y'all see my drawing. You don't have to be an artist to draw a pretty picture. So here's my pretty picture. I think on this one I need to label which one's which. So which one is the x-axis? It's this one right here, isn't it? That's the x-axis. And that's the y-axis. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to highlight my x-axis because that's what it said to talk about. Now, let's not get confused. Is that a horizontal or vertical line? That's horizontal. Now, I said no matter what, if it's a horizontal line, what kind of slope does it have? I don't have to think about that. And I said no matter what, if it's a horizontal line, what does the equation begin with? Now I'm confused, though, because I've got to put a number there. Y equals 0. Not x equals 0. That would have been a vertical line. It would be y equals 0, because that point right there was 0, 0. This point here was 5, 0. This point here was negative 5, 0, which means all of my y's were 0. And so my actual answer to this problem was y equals 0, because it asked for the equation. All right. Let's then go to the y-axis. Again, I need my pretty picture. There it is. It's gorgeous. X-axis, y-axis. That's a good-looking picture. I'm going to highlight my y-axis. Is that a horizontal or vertical line? What kind of slope? And if it's vertical and undefined, what's the equation start with? X equals. What number am I going to put there? That's it.